Good morning.
Hey.
Morning.
We all know that we take responsibility for our own health and our own health care. However, there's something a little bit bigger than that also. We also need to go to doctors. Most of us do anyhow. And when you do go to the doctor, what's the first question that's asked of you when you pick up the phone to make an appointment with somebody?
Is your healthcare provider?
Who's your insurance company? Who's providing the insurance? Not what's your name, not what's your problem, not what's wrong, what kind of insurance do you have? And that's really what's controlling the type of health care that you're going to get. It's sad, but that's just the way it is. Insurance companies cover routine exams and tests to help us with our health. It's not really to help us with our health. They're in business to make money, solely to make money. And as most of you know, mammograms are covered routinely for all women, and they're paid for generally 100% by most plans, because insurance companies want to make sure that you've got a screening so that if there is a problem, it can be taken care of efficiently and inexpensively. You know, cut the cancer out, throw it in the garbage, and it's all gone. Unfortunately, if people become sicker, then they require a lot more attention and care, and it becomes costly. And not only that, obviously it can cost you your life. But what most women don't do is have a sonogram or an ultrasound to go along with that mammogram. And the reason why is because insurance companies do not routinely cover this type of exam. They pay for the mammograms because mammograms cover 90%. I mean, they'll catch 90% of all cancers. But what about the 10% that they don't catch? Well, we do have another exam that can catch a nice percentage of those. Maybe it's only 5% of them. I know one thing. I wouldn't want to be in that 5% that didn't have that breast cancer caught. But most women today are not going for that sonogram because the insurance companies are not going to pay for that exam. They'd rather cover 100% of women to catch 90% of the cancers, and then for the other 5%, whoever gets it, well, we'll deal with that expense as it may occur. We don't want to be one of those 5%. But if you don't know that that test is something that should be performed, you won't have it done. It's sad, but there are people who are in that 5% category. Another test that I just found out about this year after I spoke to my mother's surgeon after he did a triple bypass on her. I'm waiting in the waiting room, and he comes out after this surgical procedure, and actually operation, and I said to him, Dr. David, is there anything that I could have done, we should have done, we could have known, we could have seen to predict that somebody's going to have a heart attack? I mean, we know that people go for stress tests. We know that people have EKGs. That's kind of routine. And then I realized, why is it routine? Because that's what the medical insurance covers. It covers EKGs and stress tests. We all have them. But you know, you can have a stress test and die the next day of a heart attack. So when I looked at him and said, is there anything to know, to predict? And he looked at me and he said, yes, absolutely. There's a heart scan. I said, you're kidding. You mean you can actually have a heart scan to see that you've got clogged arteries? Oh, yeah. I said, but, you know, why isn't anybody doing it? My mother's 85 years old. You know, why don't people do these tests? And his answer was, because insurance doesn't cover it. So we could have predicted this. And how many people die every day of heart attacks without the knowledge that, ooh, I could have gone for a heart scan. I could have known that I have blockage so that maybe I can schedule an angioplasty or something to take care of my heart before it kills me. Now, I didn't know this. Maybe many of you do, but I'm sure plenty of people had no idea. So I looked at Dr. David. He's right about my age. And I said, let me ask you a question, Dr. David. Did you have your heart scan? And he looked at me and he said, oh, absolutely. And I'm thinking, wow, how much does this heart scan cost? He said $600. Now, I had an audience of people in the waiting room at this point listening in. You know, people like to be nosy and hear what's going on between you and the doctor and the outcome and all that. And they were all infuriated, thinking, well, gee, what if that was me? I would want to know that this test is available. But nobody's going to tell you And these are just two examples, two little tiny examples of the many, many kinds of tests and screenings that we have available that nobody's going to tell you about. Your doctor doesn't tell you because he's being controlled by the insurance company. His hands are tied. He's not supposed to go ahead and tell you to go ahead and take this test because the insurance company doesn't cover it. And it's really sad. Dr. David had his. Now, I'm not suggesting that you all go out and go to your doctors and try to get every test available. I'm not running for a heart scan. You know, I don't have a high cholesterol problem or a predisposition, but many people know that genetically, their DNA, they have a predisposition for one sort of illness or something else, or they have a problem that may lead to heart disease. Whatever part of your body you know that you may have a problem or a predisposition for some kind of illness or disease, you need to become proactive. You need to be an advocate, take care of your own health. You need to ask the questions. Because if you go to your doctor and you say, you know what, if this were you, what would you do? What would you do if this was your wife? You know, the doctors, they're going to tell you. If you suck the information out of them, you just make it the answer. But if you don't become your own advocate and ask the questions, then you will not receive the type of care that may be available to save your life. We have to take control of our own health.